Hey there friends, Mr. E here, and today we are signal boosting. The intent with today's video is to get these bugs more widely noticed and acknowledged, and so that you are not falling prey to their traps, as well as hopefully getting FATSHARK to pay attention to these and get them fixed, because some of these have been in the game for a very long time. Some of them are fairly new, but you know what? We can't just sit around idly, assume they are on top of it, because as we've seen in the past, sometimes they need the community to step in. So what I'm going to be doing here is going over a number of bugs, and the bugs today are all features from talents that are on-hit effects, which should really tell you the state of bugs in Darktide when I can make several of these videos that actually have categories. So this is going to be an on-hit effect talent slash blessing based bug post, and I have like 3 or 4 from here. And we're going to start with these bugs right here that came in this video from Taezang, who says, "FATSHARK, please fix this." Pretty pithy title. I think I've been guilty of using that one in the past as well. And he highlights that there are 2 talents on the Zealot's tree that are in fact bugged and not working at all properly. So those talents are Perfectionist and Scourge. Let's start with Perfectionist. What he's going to show here is that Perfectionist works very well when you are in the Psychanium and in solo play games. And I will be able to demonstrate this as well. So look at that. What we're going to see is that Perfectionist, what it does is it removes a percentage of your cooldown. If you get a boss kill, it's half your cooldown. If you get an Ogryn kill, it's 30%, which is 9 seconds. And if you get a kill on anything else, then you're looking at 4.5 seconds. So yeah, as you can see in his footage there, he's getting roughly 4.5 seconds off of that cooldown, working appropriately. Same thing here with this Ogryn, boom, 9 seconds off, right? But when you go into an actual game, the things take a little bit of a turn for the worse. So you see here, this enemy's gonna get stabbed, and boom, no change to that timer at all, right? 26, 25, 24, 23, right? It should be jumping down by 4 seconds instantly, 4.5 seconds even. So yeah, that's a really big problem. And he does actually get it, if I skip forward a little bit here, he does actually get it to trigger 1 time out of 6 times here. And this is pretty similar to what I saw in my own testing. Of course, I did go and actually test these myself because I wanted to make certain they were still current. But yeah, this is still currently a bug. And it happened for me roughly 1 in every 4 times I would actually get the refund out of this talent. And what it expects you to do, right? Let's kind of go over what it expects you to do, is get a kill from stealth. Doesn't say it has to be a melee kill, doesn't say it has to be a backstab or anything like that. I was using the same attack every single time so that I could cut down, I can control for that one more variable there. I don't think it has anything to do with when you attack during the stealth, or what attack it is, or what positioning you have to the enemy, or any such case. I think that there is something going on with the netcode here, and the suggesting factor to that would be the fact that this operates differently on local servers, i.e. on the Psychanium grounds, or in your solo play games. If you're using the solo play mod, all those are not actually on the matchmaking servers. But when you go into matchmaking servers, the story is completely different. So the second talent that he highlights having a problem with it is Scourge. And Scourge is 2 effects in one. Basically, when you crit on an enemy, you're going to apply bleed, and then if you hit a bleeding enemy with a melee attack, you will get a stacking 10% critical chance buff that stacks 3 times, lasts 3 seconds. So what you'll see is in this footage right here, I have all my buffs right here. So look right here for the Scourge buff to show up. It looks like a little serrated blade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this enemy 1 time right there. That's a guaranteed 4 stacks of bleed because I am using Lacerate on my knife. So this guy is bleeding. The next hit here should give me a stack of Scourge. Boom, there it was. Do you see that? Right? Let's go back and go back a couple frames here and show that. It was really quick. Okay, so there we go. Here's the stack of Scourge coming on, and I'm going to follow up, and I'm going to get a 3rd hit here, so it should give me a 2nd stack of Scourge. Boom. Interestingly enough, though, I did not get a 2nd stack of Scourge. Why is that? Let's try it on this guy. Well, he gets killed instantly. Okay, so that doesn't really count for anything. But this guy right here, one hit, right? And the 2nd hit right there, boom, should give a stack of Scourge because I'm hitting a bleeding enemy. Does not. So what is going on here, and I can demonstrate it even clearer in a second here when I'm up against this trapper, is that if you get a killing blow. If your hit on a bleeding enemy is a kill or a hit that would kill them, it doesn't give you the stack. So here I'm going to bleed this trapper, and then I'm going to do the push stab attack. It's enough to kill her instantly, and as you can see there, no Scourge stacks at all. And this is not how the talent is supposed to function. It's supposed to give you that stack regardless of whether or not the hit kills the enemy. And I can demonstrate that this is in fact the case, because if we go here and check this out on some enemies, this is in a solo play mode where I can spawn these enemies. This is how it's supposed to function. I can hit this enemy. Oh, he wasn't bleeding there, but I can hit this enemy and make him bleed. Okay, so we see he's bleeding there. And now if I go ahead and do the push stab and kill him, bada bing, bada boom, there's your Scourge stack right there. So this is how it's supposed to function, is that you are supposed to, well, I didn't do that one right, but there you go. You're supposed to get a Scourge stack every time you hit a bleeding enemy with a melee kill, whether it's a kill or not. And yeah, so there's a problem there. So we've got two talents here that have problems with giving you the credit for the on-kill effect, or like an effect that has to do with like on-hit, right? We've got Perfectionist here, and we've got Scourge. Now, this is, I think, something to do with the netcode, because obviously this is going on only on live servers, and when you're on your solo server, when you're client-side hosting, it's all okay. And if I were FATSHARK, this is my recommendation to FATSHARK. If I were FATSHARK, I have a place where I think you should look, because there was a very similar talent, a talent that was having issues just like this very recently and was patched in this last patch, and that is Soul Drinker. Soul Drinker gives a buff that replenishes your toughness and gives you 5% crit chance for the duration. Previously, this was working flawlessly in solo games and in the Psychanium, but when you went into real games, in practice, you could literally watch enemies burn to death in front of you from Soul Blaze, and it would not give you a refresh on this talent. It would just sit there and do nothing. And so that talent was operating differently, just like these other talents are operating differently in the Psychanium, and they're operating differently on live servers. And I think that whatever that was, you know, they figured out the fix, because it was fixed in this update that came out with Expeditions, right? So this talent, whatever that was, whatever that server side sort of error is, that's where they should start looking to fix this. Now, let me kind of break down what I think is happening here. I am not a computers or networks expert, but I have a good hunch that I might understand why this sort of thing is going on. And that would be something to do with the conflict between the server side and client side sort of priorities, right? Every time that you do anything in the game, you have to communicate it to the server. The server has to come back to you and say, okay, yes, that is validated, but also here's a bunch of extra information about what all your other allies and what all the enemies are doing and stuff. And that keeps everybody on the same page. When you think about it, the internet's kind of a crazy fucking place, right? Especially these games and netcode, etc. But I think that this system is getting a little bit confused, and it's getting out of order in terms of the order of operation. That's what's stealing these talents from us. And what we've got here is the order of operations for both Perfectionist on the left here, and this is Scourge on the right. So on Perfectionist, what you would expect to see is this order right here. You go stealth, you stab an enemy, you kill the enemy, you refund the cooldown, and you end the stealth. That's what has to happen in order for this thing to go properly. And that's what like the server would communicate to your team, right? That it would communicate to your team that you are in fact in stealth. You'll see the guy fade out, you'll see him stab an enemy, the enemy will fall down and die. And then on your side though, other things have to happen. So you'll still go stealth, you'll still stab the enemy, you'll kill the enemy, but when you get to this phase right here, two things have to happen. You have to do a check on the talent to see if Perfectionist is a talent that's on this guy's tree. So it'll go to us, it'll come over to client side, and then it's up to you and whatever talent tree you chose to say, oh yeah, I do have Perfectionist. And then you'll send the request back to the server to give you the refund for the Perfectionist cooldown. However, in the meantime, the game has gone ahead and just ended your stealth, because it's moving so fast that it doesn't have time for you to send that request back and get the return. So by the time you come back and say, oh yeah, by the way, I do have Perfectionist, can I get that refund? It'll say, fuck off. No, you don't. It does. You're out of stealth. You can't get a refund for your cooldown when you're killing enemies you're not in stealth, because the stealth ended before the request cooldown, sort of packet came back. And that is probably kind of explain why this happens occasionally, because this is like sometimes stealth will linger just based on the tick rate or like latency. Your stealth will linger just a little bit longer, and that's long enough for that request to come back and it to verify that, yeah, you just did a stealth attack and you can get that refund back because you do have a Perfectionist. Now over here, this is Scourge, a really simple order of operations. If you hit a bleeding enemy, you'll get a Scourge stack, and if you hit a bleeding enemy enough, they'll die, right? However, if we go with this sort of theory here, that these ones in green are client-side entities that needs to check against the client, well then if you hit a bleeding enemy, it's going to check and see if you have the talent Scourge stack. It's going to make that request, hey, I need a Scourge stack, please. But by the time it does that, that enemy's dead. So it comes back and it says, no, fuck you. That enemy's dead. You can't hit a dead enemy and get a Scourge stack. What are you, crazy? And so I think that's roughly what's happening here. Something to do with the order of operations getting a little bit mixed up. And you can tell that it's something to do with that because sometimes it does work properly with Perfectionist. It never works properly with this one over here with Scourge. That one has been broken since the rework for Zealot back in October of last year. So if they could just revert to that, that'd be great. Now I've actually got two more talents I want to talk about that are definitely 100% bugged, but they are bugged in both the Psychanium and in live games. They are not functioning how they should be, and yeah, they don't really fit into that greater archetype of client side versus server side. These are just downright not functioning at all. And the first of these talents I want to show off that's broken is Splash Damage. This is a new talent for the Hive Scum. It says that when you kill an elite enemy with a melee attack, it infects up to 10 enemies within 4 meters of the target with 2 stacks of Chem Toxin. So let's just go ahead and demonstrate that really quick and easy. Just grab this axe here, spawn ourselves a little elite enemy, and then go to town. Boom, bada bing, bada boom, there you go. So we got some toxin stacks on those enemies. Let's wipe them out. And then we'll demonstrate the same thing with the Bone Saw here. Now the Bone Saw, why did that guy just explode? The Bone Saw has a little bit different time doing this. I'm gonna soften this guy up just the right amount. And then if I get this kill, but with the rip animation, I definitely killed that guy with the hit, right? So we'll go. Weird how that looks like I'm definitely killing the guy with the hit, but it's not working. And the same thing if we swap to the Chainsword and use the activate animation. That guy died to a melee attack, I would have to assume. Right? He's not dying to anything else, he's dying to the melee attack. Let's try it with the Chain Axe. I should probably clear out my inventory at some point in my life, but who cares? And nope, nothing. However, with the crowbar, this does work for whatever reason. So yeah, we got the crowbar is still a good tool here. With the secondary rip is what I'm talking about. So it's not to do with the secondary rip animation. It's because those are counting as like a weapon special. They're not actually a weapon hit. They're like a series of short hits. So who knows what's going on there, but FATSHARK, please fix. Now let's go to the Ogryn and show one last fun little bug that is annoying me because I want to make a build with this. Now this build is to do with this pretty little weapon right here, the Rumbler and the grenade launcher, the grenade gauntlet rather. And with this talent right here, light them up. So check this out. I'm gonna shoot this guy. 4 stacks of fire. Still only 4 stacks of fire. Hold on, maybe I need to make this a little bit clearer to demonstrate, right? Let's remove the fire away stacks here. What this is supposed to do is apply 4 stacks of burn while point blank barrage is active, right? So if I have this gun here, my heavy stubber, and I make this point blank barrage active, and I go boom, 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 boom. Okay, see how he's at 16 stacks? 4, 8, 16, or 12, 16, I can't count. 4, 8, 12, 16, right? That's how this talent is supposed to work. However, if you have one of the 2 explosive weapons, meaning the grenade gauntlet or the Rumbler equipped, and you try this exact same thing, we're gonna go 4, 4. Let him fall down. Still nothing, literally nothing, not getting anything at this point. And literally no explosions after this point will apply anything to enemies that have already been hit. And the same thing applies with the Rumbler. So basically, when any one of these explosive weapons goes off, if an enemy gets so much as grazed by these fire stacks, so like these enemies over here are gonna be hit by this, right? They get those 4 fire stacks from it. However, now, even a very close explosion won't give them anything, even a direct hit won't give them any fire stacks at all. So the fire stacks literally only apply to the first time that any enemy is hit by any one of these attacks. And we can demonstrate this very clearly with just some like openly spaced little demolish here. 4 stacks. Oh, he got 4 stacks. 4 stacks, right? It applies only the first time they're hit and not a single time after. And that is really frustrating because it would make this really, really good. But right now it just applies only on the first time the enemies get touched. So yeah, there you go. That is all of the on-hit bugs that I had for you today. Now I'm certain there's some more in the games. Comment them down below so that I can get put them on the channel and hopefully get some attention on them. And until next time, thanks for watching, guys. Mr. E, out of here. Oh, he didn't die. Hold on. Like and subscribe. Mr. E.